So you're thinking about moving to Seattle, Washington, but you really have no idea where to start. This is really going to be the one video that you need to really start looking into where some of the best spots might be for you to relocate to. I'm going to dive into every area, both in Seattle proper, in all the neighborhoods, as well as the entire metropolitan area and every suburb around it. I'm going to give you a breakdown on why people move to certain areas, what these areas offer, differences in school ratings and home prices, and everything that you really need to know when you're trying to make that decision on where you want to move to. And as always, I'm Bryce Greenleaf, local real estate broker here in the area. I love helping you guys out. Those of you that reach out to me when you're moving over this way or you already live here and you're looking to buy a home. So if that sounds like you and you need help kind of narrowing down where you want to live and going through that home buying process, feel free to reach out to me. But let's jump into it. We're going to jump onto my screen here. We're going to get on the map here. So you can see here we've got pulled up. So I said we're going to talk about Seattle proper, and then we're going to dissect all the areas around it in the metropolitan area. Because what I found is over the last three and a half years of doing this YouTube stuff and helping people relocate here very heavily, the majority of people are not looking to move right into Seattle proper. Most of you are looking to move into the suburbs, but we're going to cover everything around here. Now, there are going to be timestamps here at the bottom of this video. So if there's certain sections that don't apply to you and you want to skip ahead to a section you're more interested in, feel free to do that. This is going to be a longer video because I want to dive deep into the entire area. All right, so you've got my screen pulled up here. You can see. So when we talk about Seattle metropolitan, here's what we're talking about. Got all the way out up north to Snohomish County, down through Seattle, King County, and then down to Pierce County. Loop around here, back up. So this is really what we call Seattle metropolitan. So on the north side, you have Snohomish County, which is right around here, the county line. Right up through here, that's Snohomish County. Then we have King County through here, which is right down about here. This is King County. And then we have Pierce County right here. So these are the three counties that make up the Seattle metropolitan area. There's about 4 million people that live in Seattle Metro. Now up over here, you have Kitsap County through here. This is, another destination that some people, when they're coming over here, move to. These are more so people that are 100% remote workers or people that are retiring, not dealing with a commute, because over here, again, this is Kitsap County. This is technically not considered Seattle Metro, and I'm not going to dive deep into this on this video, just give you a brief overview. These areas are, if you want to get over to Seattle, are very ferry dependent or driving around, which either way, whether you take the ferry or you drive around, it's absolutely brutal. So not considered Seattle Metro on those ones. And then another one you have that some people move to up on the north side here, right next to Snohomish County. This is Camano Island. It's on Island County, so technically not Seattle Metro, but it's another destination that people move to. And I've covered that specifically in a video here on my channel. So if that interests you, just go check out that video. But otherwise, we're going to talk about these three counties. Now, in general, before we dive specifically into each area, let's just talk about kind of commuting to and from the roadways, freeways, highways, in and out, so you can get an idea of what that looks like. When you're moving to a larger city, especially a coastal city, you're going to have bad traffic. Like, that's just the case. When you're over here in Seattle, you are going to have pretty tough traffic. A big reason for that, you've got I-5, which is our main thoroughfare here, which will take you up to Canada and down to California and runs through Seattle here, down to Tacoma and out. Now, you can see how landlocked I-5 is. You've got the Puget Sound right here. So you've got water on one side. You can't put more roadways to go in and around. So that makes it really tough. And then as you get into Seattle, right through here, specifically into like Seattle proper through here, you've got Puget Sound, and then you've got Lake Washington. So you can see how landlocked Seattle is and why that traffic, specifically through here, gets so bad. There's only so much you can do. You can only go in so many directions. So that is I-5. That's the main thoroughfare, north and south. Let's talk about a couple others north and south. If you are in Snohomish County on the north side, you've got Highway 9 here. Highway 9, 40-45 mile an hour speed limits on this highway. Runs north of Arlington all the way out Snohomish County, down south to Bothell, where it merges into 522 and then 405. And then you do have I-405, which is our other main freeway heading north and south. Now, it's a much shorter distance. It's just really covering the east side here to go around what we have here, which is Lake Washington. So this 405 will take you through Bellevue and Kirkland and Redmond and Bothell, all of those areas through there, Sammamish. And this is a toll freeway. So they're not the whole freeway. 2 lanes on the left side are toll lanes to give the people the option during rush hour to pay to drive a little bit faster. So just keep that in mind. The rest of the lanes, the 3-4 lanes on the right side are not toll lanes. Zooming back out, a couple more highways here. You've got Highway 167 that runs on the east side of I-5 south of Seattle, and this will take you through some other places like Kent and Auburn and Bonnie Lake and whatnot down there. Now, if we look at our east and west, the biggest one, the largest one here, of course, is I-90. This will take you out all the way to eastern Washington and beyond, out to the pass here. So this is common for people going from Seattle and Bellevue, maybe out to Issaquah or Sammamish or Snoqualmie, North Bend, Falls City out here. That is certainly a highway you may depend on in those cases. And then up north, one of the other larger kind of eastern running highways is Highway 2 if you're leaving from Everett. Again, this will take you to eastern Washington. So a lot of people that live in the Monroe area are jumping on this highway pretty often. And then lastly, we'll talk about, I guess, just north and south here, Highway 203. This is much more of a backcountry road, backcountry highway that'll take you around to some of these cities that are set much, much further east. So not many people are going to take that roadway unless you specifically live in Duval, Monroe, Carnation, Falls City, in those areas. Otherwise, you're not really going to take that highway at all. All right, so let's start our dissection of these areas by talking about Seattle proper. Like I said, there's a lot of people that are not interested in Seattle proper, so if that's you, feel free to skip ahead to one of the other sections. But if you are interested in Seattle proper, let's dive into it here. It is an interesting area. It's a large West Coast downtown city that has issues. Everybody knows about the homelessness crisis in Seattle, and everything that comes along with that, with the streets not getting cleaned up as much as they should and whatnot. So you've got to know about Seattle when you move over here. We'll talk, briefly about kind of like the downtown area here. Now I'm going to kind of expand the downtown area to some other neighborhoods, but through here, you've got kind of your main downtown area. So through here, it's going to be condo living. You're not going to have single-family homes here in downtown. There's a lot of high-rise condos and whatnot. I've done a video previously, just recently on my channel here, taking you through some of those condos. When it comes to price points for those condos, you can find studios anywhere from the low to mid 400,000s, and then all the way up to penthouses, $3-4+ million, and everything in between. So, maybe you find a 2-bedroom condo in a nice high-rise building for 700,000-900,000. That's certainly common. So there's a lot of options through there for condos. A lot of people are, they're looking at this area specifically. They're looking at like the South Lake Union area here. You have Amazon headquarters, you have Apple offices, you have Google offices. All 3 of those are South Lake Union or Denny Triangle. You've got the Denny Triangle here. So a lot of people are kind of focused on that area, whether they work in that area and they're going to commute into Seattle, or they also want to live down there and be very walkable. So this area here, South Lake Union over to the Space Needle and through Belltown and downtown here, very walkable. a lot of restaurants, a lot of jobs. You have streetcars, so if you don't want to like walk or take your bike to work, if you're still within this downtown area, maybe your condo is a little bit further from your office, you can take a streetcar. There's city buses, there's bike lanes, like I said, and very walker friendly through there. You've got not just condos and high-rise buildings. You'll have smaller one-off buildings. You'll have some more townhouse-style condos through there. There's some in Belltown that can become options for you as well. And then you have the waterfront down here. So people love having great access to this. It's a beautiful area. There's restaurants down here. There's some things to do and whatnot. So a very cool area with the Pike Place Market, which again, it's a basically a farmer's market that's open 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year. It's covered, so if it's raining, no big deal. A lot of cool stuff. I spent my life growing up going here, taking a nice day trip in Seattle and just exploring Pike Place Market. There's a lot of restaurants and cool little shops in there, and you've got your flowers and some food and just all sorts of stuff. Touristy type items and whatnot all through there. You've got the art museum. So when you're in Seattle, there's a good amount to do for sure. And then over here in First Hill is where you're going to have like your hospitals. So you've got Swedish, which is a big hospital. You've got Harborview, which is our main trauma center down here. So this First Hill area is a very hustle and bustle. Sometimes people ask me about living in First Hill versus some other locations. It's all about convenience to you. Maybe you work at one of these hospitals and that's great convenience. You can live down there. It's going to be a little bit noisier with ambulances and whatnot happening all the time. And then you've got Seattle University very close to it. So that's really the kind of the downtown Seattle area. If we go outside of downtown Seattle, some neighborhoods just to consider. You've got Queen Anne over here. You've got Magnolia over here. I've got a number of clients when they're looking to be in Seattle, they want to be close to downtown, but they want a single family home and maybe a little bit more of a quiet neighborhood. These two are certainly good options. Now, the further south and east you get in Queen Anne, the closer you get to downtown and the Space Needle, the busier it's going to be. The further north you get, the quieter and more kind of suburbia it's going to feel. Same with Magnolia out here. It's tucked a little bit further back, so Magnolia is going to feel a bit quieter even so than Queen Anne. But a number of great, beautiful homes. Some of them will have water views. You can see, especially in Magnolia, you can see how close you are to the water, and Discovery Park, which is a cool little park with a lighthouse down there. So some beautiful homes, a lot of, this is an older area. Seattle's old, so it's older architecture. You are going to have more so in Queen Anne than Magnolia, but you are going to have some newer construction like townhouses, smaller homes, condos, and whatnot. But most of the detached single-family homes are going to be older construction, so just keep that in mind. But those are two areas that people really like to focus on if they want to be close to downtown, but they want a single-family home and kind of feel like they're a little bit more in suburbia. More so when we go to the north side of Seattle, you go north of Lake Union up here. So you've got Lake Union that runs here, flow out to Puget Sound out there, and then you've got this north side of Seattle, North Seattle proper, we'll call it, through here. So when I have people moving here, they're looking to live in Seattle proper specifically, the two most common locations are either here, and when I say two, I'm just generalizing the entire area, is the North Seattle proper, or what I just talked about, Queen Anne and Magnolia down there. Most people like to go to the north side of Seattle as opposed to the south side of Seattle, which we'll talk about in a second here. So up here on the north side of Seattle, really I'd say probably one of the most popular neighborhoods. My favorite neighborhood personally is Green Lake right here. Green Lake, the neighborhood itself is not huge. You've got the Green Lake neighborhood right through here. So you've got Green Lake here. So this is a very cool spot. Again, another place I've spent my childhood going to a number of times. We still go down there every once in a while. So Green Lake it's a lake. Kids can go swimming. You can take out a paddleboard, a kayak. It's not big enough for motorboats and things like that. You're not taking your jet skis out there. It's a much calmer, quieter lake, but it's a very busy lake. There's a lot of people around it. You can see you've got fields all around. You've got sports fields, just open, grassy areas. So throw the frisbee, kick a soccer ball. There's basketball courts here. Around the lake, it's a 2.8-mile paved trail all the way around the lake. So people just come here to go walk the dog around the trail, go for a run, go for a walk, get on their rollerblades, ride their bike. So this is, especially in the summer, this lake is absolutely popping with people all over the place. And all around the lake here, you've got some restaurants, some coffee shops, some cool places to go, some really nice places to eat. So that's a great experience. And then you've got the Woodland Park Zoo right here, which is our biggest zoo in this area. Again, went on countless field trips here as a child, and we now take my daughter here pretty often. So that's kind of the Green Lake area right there. If you go to the west side here in Seattle, or sorry, the east side here in Seattle proper, you have neighborhoods like Ravenna, you've got View Ridge over on this side. And then you've got the University of Washington down here and Laurelhurst. These areas through here, not counting the University of Washington, will feel a little bit more suburbia. They're very nice neighborhoods. Throw Wedgwood in there. A little bit more expensive for sure. The median home price in Seattle proper as a whole is just under $900,000. That's for single-family homes, not condos. Single-family homes just under $900,000. These neighborhoods are going to be on the upper end of that. They're going to be more expensive than that, over $1 million for homes through here. Very nice neighborhoods. As you get to, and this is like kind of quieter, a little bit more suburbia. As you get to the west side, when you're talking about maybe Greenwood and Ballard through here, these are going to be a little bit more demographic, might be a little bit younger, a little bit more hip, maybe a little bit more busy, a little bit more going on maybe on this west side of North Seattle proper than the east side, just to generalize those two areas. So that's kind of what's going on North Seattle proper area. If we zoom out and we go to the south side, now the south side is where I have South Seattle proper, or just South King County in general, is where I have the least amount of people in terms of, you know, buyers that I help out, especially those moving from out of state. This is where I have the least amount of people moving to is in these areas. There's a couple of reasons why, and everybody's looking for a little bit different lifestyle. What I will point out first is the one area that does get the most kind of attention south of Seattle here, and that's West Seattle. So through here, you can see North Admiral, West Seattle, and then Alki Beach over here. So this is, again, on the water. Absolutely gorgeous, expansive views here from Alki and those beaches. West Seattle has really gained more and more popularity over the years. It used to be a little bit more affordable, and the prices started to go up, just like anywhere else. But it's becoming really a destination spot for a number of people of going. There's a number of nice homes, again, with views. The tough thing that some people have with West Seattle is dealing with the mess of the West Seattle Bridge to get over here. If you're working in downtown, there's a lot of people that make that drive. But I've never lived in West Seattle personally, so I've never made that drive on a daily basis. But I've heard a number of people kind of complaining about that bridge and that situation over there. If we look at the rest of South Seattle proper, and we zoom in here south of I-90, and you've got places like Rainier Vista and Columbia City and Beacon Hill. Again, there's a number of people that enjoy living in these areas. They can be very walkable. There's restaurants and stuff nearby. I would say the overall impression that people get is maybe North Seattle proper is a little bit cleaner than South Seattle proper. You have some good amount of riffraff and whatnot going on around here on Beacon Avenue and Rainier Avenue, so often people like to be tucked a little bit further off of those main thoroughfares. And then you have very industrial areas through here between I-5 and Highway 99. So it's just super industrial areas. And sometimes people don't like to be super close to all of that either. So that's really the Seattle proper that I'm going to talk about. So section number 2 that I want to talk about here, we're going to stay within King County, and we're going to talk about the east side. So if you've done your research on Seattle and living over here and moving over here, you've probably heard the term east side before. If you haven't, east side just means east. This is Lake Washington, so that just means east of Lake Washington. So depending on, you know, who you ask and who exactly you're talking to, some people will say Bothell is considered east side. I'm going to throw it in here. Some say east side starts right here at Kirkland, but just east of Lake Washington here. So you've got cities like Bothell, Woodinville, Kirkland, Redmond, Bellevue, Sammamish, and Issaquah, and throw in Newcastle here as well. This is really considered the east side. Some consider Duval here the east side as well. I'll talk about Duval in a second. It's a little bit of a different feel. Now, the thing about the east side is the reason people are attracted here it's a multitude of reasons. One, you've got Microsoft headquarters right here. So a lot of people have come over here to take jobs at Microsoft, so they end up on the east side, and this is where they want to live. You've got downtown Bellevue, which is a beautiful downtown area. While Seattle really struggles with things with cleanliness downtown, homelessness crisis, public drug use, all of that stuff Seattle really struggles with. Bellevue feels like a completely different world. There's no tent cities in Bellevue. You won't see somebody shooting up drugs on the street. So it's a completely different feel and a great downtown area with lots of restaurants and shopping and all sorts of stuff to do down there. When we talk about home prices, this is a big reason why people don't end up in the east side, is because they can't afford to. Even though, they love it and they want to be here, it is the most expensive place to live in Washington state. So Bellevue right here, median home price is about $1.8 million right now. Kirkland and Redmond are around 1.4, 1.5 million for median home price. Sammamish over here is about 1.7 million in home price, and Issaquah over here is about 1.5 million. If you go up to Bothell, it's about 1.1 million, and Woodinville is about 1.2-ish million, close to Bothell there. So that's a big reason why some people can't move here, is because of those home prices. Another reason why it has become so desirable is when you look at all the school district ratings, these really have the best rated school districts in the state of Washington. So you combine those really high paying jobs, super clean neighborhoods, specifically like the downtown area, but very clean neighborhoods all around, great schools, great jobs, and really just overall, like you have access to, you've got Lake Washington here on the west side of the east side, and then you've got Lake Sammamish right here. So you've got great recreation in terms of summertime activities through these areas. Now, I will say there are a number of people that want to be on this east side that maybe work over here. Maybe they work at Microsoft, maybe they work in downtown Bellevue somewhere, or some other company on this east side. And they say, hey, Bellevue's 1.8 million, Sammamish is 1.7 million. I can't really afford that, but I can go to Bothell. I can afford 1.1, 1.2 million. And so they end up going to Bothell, maybe Woodinville up here, and get a little bit more bang for their buck, but are still a straight shot down 405 here, and then over to Microsoft or whatever other job they might be working there on the east side. So Bothell, Woodinville gives you a little bit of a break there. Right up here on those. If you want to be on the east side specifically, that's where you're going to get the best home prices. Now, I talked about Duval very briefly over here. Let's zoom into Duval. So Duval's a little bit more unique. While the rest of that east side is a combination of urban and suburban. You have the downtown Bellevue area. You've got high-rise, big condos down there. And then the rest of the cities are very suburban, very clean neighborhoods, very nice neighborhoods, a lot of luxury homes. You've got a lot of regular, your standard 60s, 70s, 80s, early 2000s built homes. You've got a wide mix of everything through those areas. Duval is going to feel suburban to semi-rural is kind of the best way that I like to put it. Now, Duval is a lot quieter of an area. There's not a lot going on in Duval. They have a little downtown area, which I filmed Duval on a specific video before as well. So if that interests you, check that out. The median home price in Duval is closer to $1 million. So again, this is a place that people go where, hey, we work on the east side. We work at Microsoft, Amazon, wherever on the east side, and we don't want to pay $1.8 million to be in Bellevue, and they end up going to Duval. And another reason people to go to Duval is opportunities for larger lots and acreage. So I had a client recently that worked on the east side, and they moved over here from California, taking a job, and they decided to end up in Duval because they could get 10 acres with a 5,000 square foot custom built home, which in the rest of the east side would have been much more expensive. And so they ended up here in Duval. There's a little downtown area here with a few restaurants and little shops and whatnot. Nothing robust. You're going to go to neighboring cities for your big grocery shopping, your Costco, your doctor's visits, all that kind of stuff. You're going to go to neighboring cities, typically Redmond or Woodinville, something like that. But Duval, it kind of provides that maybe a little bit quieter setback lifestyle, very wooded, forested lots. Really feels like you're in quintessential Pacific Northwest. And so people really, really love that. And then they'll just jump on 203 here and go over, commute over to work there on the east side. All right. So let's see, is there anything else on the east side I want to talk about here? We've got other cities that are tucked back like Carnation and Falls City, which are going to feel even a smaller scale of Duval. I'd say Duval is a little bit bigger. It's growing a little bit faster. These Carnation and Falls City areas are going to have a similar feel, just even smaller and even quieter. We'll zoom into the downtown Bellevue area just really quick here. If you're looking for luxury and you have the budget where a $5+ million home is well within your means, maybe 3-4+ for an older home. There's a number of great neighborhoods here on the west side of Bellevue, and you've got places like Medina and Clyde Hill, the most expensive areas to live in the state, Yarrow Point and Hunts Point as well. You've got West Bellevue down here. You've also got Ennetai down here, just before you get to I-90. So those are going to be the most expensive places. A lot of luxury homes, a lot of waterfront, water view homes. So, if that's within the budget, those are absolutely beautiful neighborhoods. A lot of unique architecture, mostly older homes. But there's a good amount of new construction that's gone on in there as well, with, developers coming in, tearing down an older home and building a nice, beautiful, modern home through there. And then you're really close to downtown in those areas. Downtown is right through here. So again, all of your fine dining restaurants, all of your shopping, whether that's your typical Gap, Macy's, Nordstrom, or your luxury brands. There's a bunch of luxury brands through Bellevue as well. It's a very kind of ritzy area, but has a lot for everybody. It's not just a ritzy area. It's not just some people with a lot of money. There's great, just normal shopping and great restaurants through there as well. All right, so that's the east side. Again, jobs, schools, super nice neighborhoods, very nice homes, convenience to everything, convenience to recreation. I guess we didn't talk about trails and stuff, so like out here, Union Hill, Novelty Hill, Redmond Ridge, out here in Issaquah, all the hiking and trails and mountain biking you need, super close by. I mean, it's so easy to just go out your door, maybe drive a few minutes and be able to find a great place to go hiking or something. So that's the east side. All right, so we talked about Seattle proper. We talked about Bellevue, east side. So that's the whole middle of the Seattle metropolitan area. Let's go north. Let's go to Snohomish County next. So, again, Snohomish County through here, we've got a number of different suburbs. I'm not going to dive into every single one specifically. I'm going to give you an overview of all of them and give you an idea of who's moving where for what reason and what you're going to be able to get here. So, this is Snohomish County. Let's start on the south side of Snohomish County and just work our way up. So, south side of Snohomish County, this is where I grew up. So you've got Mountlake Terrace right here, Briar, you've got Edmonds, Linwood, Bothell. We talked about Bothell for the east side. Bothell is split between Snohomish County and King County. The north side of Bothell is Snohomish County here. Two different school districts as well. You've got Mill Creek. So this is kind of the south side of Snohomish County. Kenmore, mostly King County, and Shoreline is mostly King County. So you've got really that county line. It's right about there. I went a little high, but it's right about there. So these areas, there's a lot of people moving into these cities specifically that work down south. Maybe they work on the east side down there. Maybe they work in downtown Seattle. But this is a commutable location. You're within 10, 15 miles of downtown Seattle. When rush hour traffic happens, it's, it could take still 30 minutes or so to get to and from in rush hour traffic from some of these cities, but it's still commutable enough for people where they get a much larger break on those home through here. Just in general, like there's going to be some neighborhoods that are more expensive than others, of course, but typically those median home prices through here are going to be in the, you know, kind of the 800 to 850 range for most of these areas. 800K. So again, when you're comparing it to like the Eastside, where they're all in the mid 1 millions, or even Seattle, which is, you know, it's closer to 900,000, but you get a different lifestyle living up here than in Seattle. So these are, you know, 800 to a million, just depending what neighborhoods you're on for those median home prices. So you've got through I-5 and Highway 99, which are our main thoroughfares through here. You've got the light rail that's going to be going in. So if you want to rely on public transportation, you want to live in these areas, and you want to just take the train down to Seattle, which a lot of people still do. Currently, that furthest north stop is Northgate. This is as far north as it goes as of the time I'm making this video. That is going to change very soon. So there is a lot of people still currently that live up here in South Snohomish County somewhere, and they just drive to this station, park their car, take the train the rest of the way to work. However, there's 2 stops going in. Mount Lake Terrace is getting a stop, and Linwood is getting a stop. So that'll make it even easier for people that live in the South Snohomish County area to be able to take that train down to work if that is something that's important to you, if you're going to be commuting down into Seattle. So over here, I'll talk about Edmonds a little bit. Edmonds is a really cool area that a lot of people are attracted to. It's got a really great downtown area on the waterfront through here. Lots of great restaurants and shops and whatnot. The Bowl of Edmonds is a residential neighborhood just outside of downtown. That's the most desirable neighborhood in Edmonds. The most expensive home prices, a lot of homes with views. Beautiful, beautiful, if you can afford it, beautiful, beautiful area to be for sure. And so close to so many great restaurants and whatnot. You've got beaches down here to hang out on. You've got an off-leash dog beach on this side. You've got the ferry terminal. So if you want to take the ferry over to one of the islands for a day trip, you can certainly do that. Again, this is something just to point out here that many people, you know, wonder about. And that's just good to know when you're moving in these areas. This is Highway 99 through here. This is the main thoroughfare that goes down to Seattle. Outside of I-5. I-5 is the main thoroughfare, but outside of I-5, this is the next main thoroughfare that will take you down to Seattle. You know, along here is where you've got a lot of your industrial district. You've got used car dealerships. You've got apartment complexes and condos, some Section 8 housing type stuff. Not specifically just here in Edmonds, but up and down Highway 99. So, you know, some people like to be tucked back a little bit further off that in a little bit quieter of an area. You don't have to go too far, you know, like off 76th Avenue here. There's a lot of great neighborhoods that you're certainly far enough from Highway 99 to notice any of the extra noise and riffraff and stuff that kind of goes along there. So just keep that in mind. That's Highway 99. And if you're coming in town for a visit when you're moving over here, check that out. If these are some areas that are going to be on your list as you go to the other side of I-5, just suburbia through here is just suburbia. Mount Lake Terrace, Briar, Bothell, the Alderwood area of Linwood. You've got Alderwood Mall right here, which is a huge shopping mall where I grew up going my whole life. So, you know, big indoor mall with, you know, all the stores you can imagine. And then you've got, you know, Target and Costco and Home Depot and restaurants and just this entire corridor of just shopping, retail all over the place. So convenience is very easy because of that. All right, so that's kind of South Snohomish County. Again, 800, 850 median price points in most of those areas. We threw Mill Creek kind of in there as well. It's starting to get a little bit further north, but Mill Creek, a number of great neighborhoods. There's a number of condos and apartments if you're looking for something on a little bit more affordable end, and then a lot of great neighborhoods through Mill Creek as well. Zoom out. All right, let's next talk about Everett. Everett's a popular city for people to visit. Everett is a unique city. There's a lot going on with it. There's really a lot to know. So let's just start on the north side of Everett. So Everett, downtown, again, downtown Everett through here, north side. It struggles with some areas. It's the largest downtown area north of Seattle, so it struggles with some of the downtown stuff that Seattle struggles with. On a smaller scale, not as bad as Seattle, but it will struggle with some of that stuff. On the north side here, you've got a number of neighborhoods that are going to have, the classic historic neighborhoods with beautiful craftsman homes with front porches or colonial style homes. There's a lot of cool homes through here, older homes, also more affordable homes. So this is where you can find some of the most affordable stuff in Snohomish County is here in North Everett. There's a number of people that have decided, it's not quite the place for me just because of how close it is to downtown and whatnot. But there's some people that enjoy that style of living. And so that is an option through there as well. As you head further south, through Everett here, got these areas through here. So this is kind of the middle of Everett. So hit and miss on neighborhoods through here. I'd say the most desirable spot where people are going when I specifically help people buy homes and, hey, we want to be in Everett, but this is where we want to shift our focus. It's through here, kind of on that west side of kind of middle of Everett, the Boulevard Bluffs neighborhoods. Really great neighborhoods. Some homes will have views of the Sound and great spots. We'll talk. Mukilteo is another city. It's not Everett. It's its own city, but Mukilteo is another desirable area. Median price point's closer to $9 to $950 versus the median price point in Everett right now is $700 through here. Mukilteo is like $9. It might be almost $950 at this point. And again, that's going to translate more to those Boulevard Bluffs area. Even though these are Everett addresses, it's going to feel more like Mukilteo, which is why people love being there. And then as we get further south in Everett, so you've kind of got the south side of Everett. So you've got Painfield right here. This is an airport. So important to know if you're going to live in Snohomish County, which is where I live. To get to our main airport, SeaTac Airport, south of Seattle, it is a trek. It is a process. It's our largest airport, so you're gonna have to go there for some things, and you just gotta plan ahead, and you gotta book enough time to be able to get down there, park, get through security, and do that whole thing, which is common with large airports, no matter where you live. The great thing about being up here is if you are flying to a destination that goes out of Painfield is a breeze. You can get in and out, through the front door to your gate, through security and everything in 20 minutes. Parking is easy. It's cheaper. It's just a very convenient airport. Now, it only flies to like 10 or 12 destinations right now. Flies to a few of the airports in California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Orange County, I think Palm Springs, or something else. There's a fourth one in California. It flies to Vegas. Just opened up flights to Maui or Honolulu. I've got to check that. One of the Hawaiian Islands just opened up flights to Phoenix, Tucson, I believe, and I think Alaska. I think there's one or two more that I'm missing. There's about 10, 12 locations that it goes to. So go on their website. If that's something that's important to you, go on their website. Just check it out where they fly to domestically. And that can be a lifesaver if you're flying to one of those areas and you don't have to go all the way down south to SeaTac Airport. The last area in Everett I'm going to talk about is the southeast side of Everett. Again, when we're talking about Everett, and if they don't want to be on the west side like Mukilteo that I talked about, this is, a popular place because it feels different. Like when you're in North Everett in downtown and close to central Everett, you're going to have, again, more of that riffraff, more of stuff going on that's just common with downtown areas that you see everywhere for the most part. When you're through here, you feel you're further away. You feel more like suburbia. You've got Eastmont, you've got Larimer's Corner, you've got Silver Firs down here. So this is going to feel like the middle of suburbia. There's new construction neighborhoods through here. There's neighborhoods built in the 2000s, in the 90s, in the 80s, and the 70s. There's a wide mix of everything through here, but it is true suburbia. And people really kind of, if they want to be in Everett, maybe they can't quite budget, in terms of their budget, maybe they can't quite get down to like Bothell, Briar, Linwood areas, and they have to go a little bit further to get more for their money, and they like to go to Southeast Everett because it provides a good lifestyle as well. All right, zooming out, I'm going to try and speed this up because this video is getting really long. I'm going to talk about two areas through here, Lake Stevens, Snohomish, that a lot of people move to. In Snohomish County, Lake Stevens has one of those school districts that are the most desirable that people really like to focus on. Median prices here in Lake Stevens are about $800. Again, people, it's a very kind of like, there's a lot of families that'll move specifically into Lake Stevens to be in that school district because they don't want to be in the Marysville school district maybe, or the Everett school district. And so they like to go to Lake Stevens. Again, 800,000 further north you go, a little bit more bang for your buck. You have the lake here, so you can throw out your boat, your kayak, your paddle boards, your jet skis. There's parks around the lake here in Lake Stevens, so swimming areas for the kids. There's a lot of community events. There's a really community-driven area. A lot of events and whatnot. We lived in Lake Stevens for a few years. Really, really loved it. It's a great area. There's a lot of new construction that has gone in Lake Stevens over the last few years, trying to keep up with the demand of how many people are trying to move there. There's a ton of, typical neighborhoods that are, on a cul-de-sac built in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. And then there's some older homes too that are on larger lots. You can get smaller acreage here in Lake Stevens if you go a little bit further out from the lake, and you can get maybe an acre or 5 acres as well, which a lot of people really love. And then when we talk about acreage, we talk about kind of rural or semi-rural living. Snohomish is a destination that has become very popular over the years. Median price points, 950-ish, 900-ish right now in Snohomish, creeping up towards $1 million. Snohomish is known for having rural property. So if you want 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, you can get it in Snohomish. It's also an area where, when we talk about both these areas, Lake Stevens and Snohomish, it's on the edge of being able to commute to jobs down south. We talked about those jobs on the east side down here or in Seattle. This is a commute. It is a drive, without rush hour and just like, free-flowing traffic times in the middle of the day on a weekend when traffic isn't bad or something. 40 minutes from these areas down to Seattle or Bellevue you can do. When you're talking about coming home from work in rush hour times, it's going to be an hour plus to get to these areas for the most part. So just keep that in mind. There are people that make that drive. A lot of them end up trying to be like South Snohomish, and then they can get through here through Bothell down to Bellevue, Redmond for their job, and they can have a more peaceful lifestyle. They can get a lot more home for their money than Bellevue, Redmond, Bothell. They can get acreage property. They can get maybe a custom-built home on 5 acres or something like that. So Snohomish is a cool area for that. It's got a historic downtown area with restaurants and shopping and community events down there. It's right along the river. So we go down there relatively often. My wife and I sometimes bring the kids, if they have a community event or whatnot. The Snohomish Aquatic Center, a big swimming area for kids and whatnot, for lessons and just to go swimming and do birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. You've got Blackman's Lake right here, kind of a little small, tiny little community lake. And then Snohomish is known for its fall time activities. So it's got pumpkin patches, corn mazes. There's wedding venues all over the place. It's just a really beautiful setting and just kind of a wide open space. You can get homes that feel like kind of farmland acreage where it's flat and wide open, or you can live somewhere where it's very wooded, typical Pacific Northwest feel with tall evergreen trees surrounding you. So there's kind of a mix of both in Snohomish, which people like. You can get more rural, like more lakes out here. A lot of people will start to have like second homes or vacation homes out here on the lake. And then even further to Lake Rosinger out there. So it's a very cool area, Snohomish is, and I found a lot of tech workers have kind of pushed themselves. Okay, I'll deal with the commute. If I'm going into office 2 or 3 days a week, I'll deal with the commute because I love what I can get in Snohomish versus maybe being further on that east side like I talked about. So Snohomish, keep it in mind. Lastly, we're going to talk about Marysville and Arlington here. These price points are around $600 to $650 in these two cities. This is suburbia. There's not a ton to do up here. It's just through here, it's just neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. It's suburbia. There's shopping centers. You've got your Costco and your Targets up here. You've got your doctor's offices. You've got a hospital up here in Arlington. You've got on the west side here, which merges into Stanwood, which is the other city over here. You've got Lake Goodwin. So there is recreation opportunities over here where you can go on the lake. You can go swimming, all sorts of stuff over there. And then you've got the Puget Sound, so you can go on the beach on Warm Beach area. So there is stuff to do nearby. It's just when you're in the middle of Marysville right here, this is just suburbia, straight homes, straight neighborhoods. You've got older neighborhoods, you've got brand new neighborhoods. They're building a lot of new neighborhoods, like through here close to Highway 9. There's a lot of new neighborhoods going in here, and more will be coming as there's a lot of open land still. And then I'll talk about downtown Arlington very briefly. This is kind of like downtown Snohomish that I just talked about. Historic downtown area, a lot of community events through here, a lot of restaurants and shops and whatnot. So they've got a lot of cool stuff going on, especially in those warmer summer months through Arlington there. And so people kind of enjoy living out there. Again, people go to Arlington because, you know, at this point, if you're trying to commute to Seattle or Bellevue for work from Arlington, you know, I pray for you. That's going to be brutal. I've met people that do it. I've sold houses to people that do it. I would not do it. That's a brutal commute. But people maybe that work on the north side, or maybe they work remote, maybe they're retired. Like there's still a lot of people that really, really love living up here in the Arlington area, because again, median home prices in Arlington are $600,000. So when you compare that, even just Snohomish, just south. You know, we talked about Lake Stevens is 800, Snohomish is almost to $1 million. It's like 950. And then you come up here to Arlington and the median home price is 600. And so people kind of come to that area for that reason, and they can get more for their money. All right, so that's Snohomish County. So let's go down here. Let's very briefly talk about South King County. We've got 2 more sections here. And then this video will conclude. It's a long video. It's probably the longest video I'm ever going to make. But want to give you a good rundown of every area. And again, if, you know, hopefully you're skipping through. If some of these areas are not, you've already crossed them off your list for whatever reason from the research you've done. If not, I'm glad you're watching the whole thing with me. Let's continue, and we'll finish up soon, I promise. So this is kind of South King County through here. When you get south of Lake Washington, through here. All right, I'm going to talk about the most desirable areas first and the least desirable areas second. So, general rule of thumb, the further east you go, the more desirable you're going to get. That's up and down the I-5 corridor. There are exceptions to that, for sure, and I've pointed out many of them in the middle of Seattle and up north. There are exceptions on the west side that are beautiful, great areas, but this becomes more of the case on the South King County side. When you come east here, there's a lot more people that I have that kind of focus in on moving to this area here. Whether that's the Renton Highlands, whether that's Maple Valley, or whether that's Black Diamond. Black Diamond, people move to for one reason, and one reason only, in my experience. That's to live in a master plan community called 10 Trails. 10 Trails is a very big, there's very few true master plan, new construction communities in the Seattle metro area. This is not like the South, down south in Texas and some other areas where there's master plan communities sprawling all over the place. That's not the case around here. There's a few big ones. There's a lot of small new construction neighborhoods, but not true master plan communities. Black Diamond has one of them. It's called 10 Trails. So there's multiple different builders through here. And over the years, there's been a lot of people that have just come down to Black Diamond for that reason. Now, the median home prices in Black Diamond are in the mid 800s, 850s, and that's because of that new construction. That's because of how many brand new homes there are in Black Diamond. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever helped somebody buy a resale in Black Diamond other than in 10 Trails. Maybe it was a resale that's 3 or 4 years old. But like 1960s, 1970s, 1980s homes, they do have those in Black Diamond for sure. Those are available, but most people go to Black Diamond for that new construction, that 10 Trails community. Keep that in mind. I made a video specifically on 10 Trails. You can check that out on my channel. Maple Valley is an area that a lot of people are going to for one, school districts, has a very well-rated school district and price point. Median home price in Maple Valley right now is, let's see, it's about $775,000, almost $800,000 here in Maple Valley. Now, when we talk about Maple Valley, there's a lot of people that want to be on this east side but can't afford it. We've talked about that. Like Issaquah right here, median home price is 1.5. If you just come down to Maple Valley, go boop down Highway 18, Maple Valley right here, all of a sudden you went from 1.5 to 800,000 for that median price point, and still a really, really well-rated school district. Again, your commute's going to be longer. Like Issaquah to Bellevue, easy peasy, lemon squeezy if you're working over there on the east side. Maple Valley is going to be a harder commute to get into that east side if you're working, so that's why that home price is lower. But it is a very nice area, very clean, great neighborhoods. There's some new construction, a good amount that has gone on over the years, more to come as well. And there's just a lot of people that are moving in there for those schools and for those home prices, and it's a nice, well-rounded area. Similar East Renton Highlands, which is even, it's a little bit closer to Bellevue. Some people don't like to be right in the middle of Redmond, and so they come out here to East Renton Highlands, and they don't want to go as far south as Maple Valley. So this is kind of the sweet spot for them. So I've seen that a number of times. All right, the rest of South King County here, I'm going to talk about very quickly. Through here, White Center, Burien, Tukwila, Federal Way, Auburn. This is going to be the cheapest areas in King County that you can live. These median home prices are going to be $600 to $650 for all of these areas through here. Again, when you're along I-5 and you're along 405, you're so close to those major thoroughfares and you're south of Seattle, you are just naturally, you're going to get some of those areas where those issues in downtown Seattle, those maybe cleanliness issues, will start to travel down to some of these cities where they haven't kept them up as nice as some of the other cities, like just Maple Valley to the east that I just mentioned. So that's just the case sometimes when you're near Seattle, you're along I-5, these main thoroughfares, that can be the case. Not to say there aren't people, like the Fairwood neighborhood in Kent is a very nice neighborhood, and I've had a number of people that have kind of had that on their list, and they're exploring moving to that area. When you get to the east side of Auburn here too, there's a number of great properties that are set out kind of private and feel really cool. And then, but through here, kind of the common theme is just more affordable housing. You can afford to buy a home, and I'm not saying these neighborhoods are terrible and you shouldn't move to them, but it gives a different feel than some of the other areas, and that's reflected in those home prices. So just keep that in mind. All right, last area I'm going to talk about, then we're going to finish up Pierce County, the third county on this list. All right, Pierce County. I'm drawing a very, very rough line. Don't hold me to this. Very close, though. All right, so the main cities in Pierce County: Tacoma, Gig Harbor, Puyallup, Bonnie Lake. You can see other cities through here, but these are the four main ones. So I'm going to go left to right. Most desirable, Gig Harbor. I've got a lot of people that like to move to Gig Harbor. There's a lot of retirees that move to Gig Harbor. It's a very peaceful, kind of quiet location. There's still everything in Gig Harbor that you need for the most part. You've got your Costco, you've got all your shopping, you've got a lot of great restaurants. You're right on the water here, so there's plenty of homes that have great water views. It's like I said, a lot of retirees moving there. There's good schools. So again, I've helped a number of families move into Gig Harbor, and it feels like just like a great, well-rounded, again, location. If you're working in Seattle or Bellevue, I would not live in Gig Harbor. That's a brutal commute again. Maybe you commute 2 days a week and you're willing to make that sacrifice. There's people that do that. Or maybe you have a job further on this side, or you work remote, or again, you're retired, something like that. But Gig Harbor is a beautiful location. And if I were to live anywhere in this corridor, personally, if I were to move to, it would be Gig Harbor. Next to Gig Harbor, you have Tacoma. Tacoma feels a lot different than Gig Harbor. When I was growing up, the nickname for Tacoma was Tacompton. Now, it has got a lot better over the years. I will say that for sure it has got better. But it still has some of that stuff going on. It still has some of that riffraff going on and whatnot. But you have the most affordable home prices really in this entire Seattle metropolitan area. The median home price in Tacoma is $475. And sorry, I forgot to mention the median home price in Gig Harbor is about $850. So you go to Tacoma here, that median home price is $475. So if you're looking for the most affordable housing, and again, Tacoma has a lot to offer. There's shopping all over the place. Again, south of Seattle, it's the biggest city, so there's a lot going on in Tacoma. There's concerts all the time at the Tacoma Dome down here. So it's a busy area, and there's a lot going on, but you can get the most affordable home for your money. When you go over here to Puyallup, similar story, more affordable homes, a lot of neighborhoods through here. It's a busier, hustling, bustling area. The State Fair is down here. It's going to, I've met some people that moved to Puyallup, didn't like it that much. I've met people that lived in Puyallup and were okay with it. What you have next to Puyallup is Bonnie Lake. And so this is similar to the Black Diamond area that I talked about before, where People move to Black Diamond because of that 10 Trails master plan community. Well, people move to Bonnie Lake because of the other large master plan community here called Tahali. So Tahali is really at this point even bigger than 10 Trails. So Tahali is down here in Bonnie Lake. You can see right here. So if you want a new construction home that's more affordable, Bonnie Lake median home prices are $625,000. When you're in Tahali, those are going to be a little bit more expensive. Of course, they're brand new homes. But if you want a master plan community with trails everywhere, with a brand new house, choose your builder. There's multiple different builders in this master plan community. Tahali is a great option. So again, people move to Bonnie Lake. In my experience, the people that I'm helping mostly are going to Bonnie Lake specifically for Tahali. There's 55 plus communities around there, so if that's a consideration for you. But again, if you're talking about commuting, going Bonnie Lake to like Bellevue, Seattle, you know, I'll pray for you. It's tough. I've met people that do it, but for the most part, you probably shouldn't do it. Maybe you're going 1 or 2 days a week and you can handle it, but you're going to spend a lot of your time in the car. So you work remote, you work on the south side here, you're retired, those kinds of things. For the most amount of people that I'm helping, personally, the most amount of people that I'm helping here work remote, or they work on the south side and they decide to be in Bonnie Lake. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. So hopefully that was helpful for you. I know this is a long video. If you stayed to the end, thank you. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully this gave you an idea of where you might want to end up. There's a lot of options to consider when you're around here. So if it sounds like if you are moving over here to the Seattle area and you want to explore further what the best spots might be for you, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an active real estate agent in this area. I assist people with relocating here and purchasing a home. So if that sounds like you, feel free to reach out to me. You can book a call at the Calendly link in my description, or you can just reach out to me directly at my cell phone there, and I would be happy to help you with that process. But I appreciate you watching this one. We'll see you on the next one.